Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and when I die, I want to be cremated. It's my last chance to have a smoking hot body. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Tiny Glade, an unusual game that I rarely have the pleasure of partaking in. Developed and published by Pouncelight and released not in early access, selling for $15. So what even is this frickin' game anyway? Well, according to the Steam store page, this is a diorama builder, and it's relaxing. But is it really? Now, I know I haven't played the game that long, but this is definitely one of those games where you really don't need to play it very long to know what it's all about. And I gotta be honest, this is not something I typically review. But I'm gonna do it anyway and go into this sucker, the same as always. And for you people out there kind enough to watch my video, make sure you watch the whole thing, because you never know, there might be something scattered about here and there that might be important, alright? Alright, so let's go into the positives. And up first is the graphical design. Now, for a relaxing diorama mode, the graphics are actually very pleasant. Now, it's not all good. I gotta make mention of the nighttime look and the darkened look at night. It's way too bright and colorful for like a legit nighttime look and feel. It makes the lanterns that you can place about the lampposts almost seem pointless. Now, maybe that's just my personal taste, but I didn't like the look of the dark of night. I've been outside in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night, and I promise you, it doesn't look like this. But other than that, the graphics aren't the best by any means. Now, it's not all bad, it is pleasant, but there's still a lacking of attention to detail that I wish was more present here. But regardless, the look of the game was nice enough for what it is, and nice enough for me to put it in the positives. Next up for the positives is the idea of this game. Now, the idea of a casual, relaxing game where you can take your time, do whatever you want, and just customize and craft your castle at your own leisurely pace where you don't have to worry about anything, like just build to your heart's desire. I actually do really like this idea, and I hope it's explored more in the future by other game developers. The next positive point I'd like to talk about is the gameplay. So the gameplay is pretty simple. The game gives you absolutely nothing, just tools and a big blank canvas to work on. I feel like the canvas is too small for me to really go with what I want to do here, so that's a personal gripe of mine, but overall, all you get is these tools and this little spot to build in. Now, you use those tools in creative ways to build whatever your little heart desires. This is definitely a game for the more creative types of people and not like me. I love the idea of this, but I'm just not good at being creative with stuff like this. Regardless, the game offers you a plethora of different styles and techniques and processes to create what it is you're looking for. It has snapping, so things just clip together the right way, and almost everything in the game can be customized in one way, shape, or form. It could be shapes, or sizes, angles, or designs. Considering it's a relaxing, customizing building game, its gameplay does its job really well. Also, you could pet the sheep! There's a bunch of different things to explore here, and so many things that combine that you wouldn't think combine, but when you finally find out that they do combine, it opens up a whole new realm of combinations and what you could be doing with that particular building tool. Honestly, the gameplay here was pretty interesting to me. And last but not least for the positives is the stability. The game runs super smooth. It felt great to play. Like, there were no issues here whatsoever. The controls are mappable, and even if they weren't mappable, they were still coherent, and they still made some sense. Maybe not for me personally, because maybe I play too many video games, so I had to change them a little bit. But overall, the controls were well designed and well thought out. The game never crashed or froze, and hell, it even opens and closed smoothly. So overall, it was a very well put together game in terms of stability. But, alright, so that's all I can think about that's worth mentioning and that I can say in the positives. Now on to the negatives, but before that, why don't you do me a big favor and support my channel? Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell, because after all, you never know what I'll be reviewing next, and it could just be the game you've been craving or missing out on. Alright, so now on to the negatives. For such an interesting idea, and for what the entirety of this game is, I feel it's worth only $10, not $15. There's not really a whole lot here to justify that price tag in my opinion. I can even see this being a free demo of a new engine or a design program, or maybe used as a training tool for certain game developers out there, but just as a standalone $15 game, it just doesn't feel right to me. There's not enough here to justify that price tag. Next up for the negatives is the sound design. I understand that the music is supposed to be relaxing, and it's supposed to be what you listen to as you play, but it's not really. It's pleasant, I suppose, but when I think of relaxing music, I'm thinking of music like in Stardew Valley or My Time at Portia. This music is kind of lackluster. It comes and goes, it doesn't really give you that relaxing feel that you would hope and expect. It never sticks around long, and the only reason for its existence seems to be because there's very little sound in the game, so without it you'd be listening to silence the majority of the time. Now, that's not to say that there's no sound at all. There is. The sound effects that are there, they sound decent whenever you're building something, and then you can hear some ambiance when you zoom in super far close in, but otherwise it's just silence with bland, boring music, and that kind of adds to a whole boring factor of this game. And last but not least for the negatives is the player retention. Now this might just be me, so take it with a grain of salt, but after the initial rush of what I was doing and the cool creativity I was experiencing, I found myself very quickly bored and done with the entire idea. I think the fun lasted for maybe half an hour, about by the time I finished this. I sped this up for you to enjoy. Now, I know it's not the most creative, and I understand I barely scratched the surface of what's here, but I found no motivation or reason to keep going, really. To me, there has to be a purpose to what you're doing in a video game, or else what you're doing is actually legitimately just wasting time, when you could be doing anything else. Even with video games, there is a difference between doing something like this and doing something else, at least to me. So for me, without any reason to be here, and with other things that I feel are more important, I just found the entirety of this game pointless. It is an interesting idea, and for artistic creative types it could be really interesting, but even then it only lasts a few days at most. There's not even a whole lot here. I mean, when you think about it, there's just not a whole lot here for people to keep coming back for more. I mean, there's like one type of map, but you get to see it in different seasons. That's actually incredibly boring. The map is really small, so you can't even really just create this massive thing you want to create. And they give you this option that you can almost kind of make it look like a town, but you could also make a castle, but there's no purpose for that either. And with nothing here, the only purpose here is to take a picture of your finished castle once you're done, and post it to social media so you can say, look what I built, but nobody's going to care because there are people out there that make stuff like this already without paying $15 for this game. Hell, they might have to pay them more money for that, for some of those engines out there. But the point is once you finish your particular masterpiece, which who knows how long that might take, I'm highly doubtful that you're going to come back to redo the same thing you already did, just in a slightly different way. I guess I just don't see what the point is overall. Relaxing? I guess, but there's tons of other games that do it better, and tons of other that are more effective in their ways of how to do it. Again, maybe it's just me, but I found the overall game's initial thrill and excitement wearing off fairly quickly, and then I found myself bored. Alright, so that's all I got to say negatively about the game. So what are my final thoughts? Well, considering what this game is and what it's marketed as, I can't actually call it a bad game. It's just not a game for me. I'm not the creative type, and I'm not the type who plays games like this just to play them. But regardless, since the game advertised itself as such and gave exactly what they were promising, I can't call it a bad game. It's a great creative building game. If sitting around doing nothing and just being able to casually build your own castle at your own pace sounds like fun, then, I'd highly encourage you to check this game out. But if you watched this video and you found it boring or kept asking yourself what's the point, then I'd highly recommend you pass on this one. Because this is it. There's nothing else, just this over and over again. If it doesn't look fun to you, or if you don't feel it's worth your money, then just move on. To each their own, I say. But that's all the time I got for today's video, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.